All right, welcome to your first day of Computer Science 1, and for a lot of you people, might be the first day of computer science. Might be the beginning of a long computer science journey, or it might just be you're collecting a general ed. Either way, this is one of the most enjoyable classes that I teach. It is a light and fun and interesting and incredibly useful for real life, even if you're not a computer science major computer science class. The reason for that is that this is a critical thinking class. Critical thinking is useful for almost everybody. I think that there's really no industry, no career, no job you could do that would not benefit from being a better thinker. Um, Perhaps politics is not one of them, but I just. Really, learning how to become a good critical thinker, learning how to look at claims and evaluate evidence and figure out truth and things like that is all very useful stuff. And you're also going to learn in this class about fallacies, about bad arguments, and bad ways that people will present information to you, and recognizing those, and kind of having a BS detector calibrated after this class as well. And we're also going to do a little bit of computer science, a little basic computer science. This is not it's not really a learn to program class. We're going to go over the basics of computer science, but it's pretty light on the programming side of things. The real first semester computer science class is CSCI 40. This one, if you take it, it'll prep you for CSCI 40. You'll be able to probably do better in it. But I think some people here have finished the whole computer science curriculum and are just, again, trying to pick up the GE, and that's fine too. That is fine too. So, a couple of procedural notes. Make sure on Discord here you have changed your Discord nickname to have at least include your last name. The reason for that, the reason why it's important, is that we have a bot that is watching the channel, and you get participation points in this class by participating on Discord. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube on a recording, it's fine. You don't have to be here live. However, you do still have to participate in the class. And so the way you do so is by going on to Discord, and you go into one of the two CSCI 1 rooms. There is one called the lecture room, which is open during lecture hours, and during off hours, I close down the lecture room, and then there's something called the CSCI Help Center, where you can ask questions about the homeworks or discuss things, or do your daily participation. And your daily participation should be one of two things. One is either your views on the topic that were presented at the day. So, for example, if we have a talk about algorithmic bias or something like that, how computer programs don't treat people fairly necessarily, then you can post your views. You should post your views on it sometime between one lecture and the next. Or you can ask a question about it. For example, I don't understand why the Princeton Faces database, which was used as a standard repository of face, recognition for facial recognition features, why it didn't have any black people in it, right? I don't understand. I'm like, I don't understand either. Seems kind of like an oversight to me. So, asking a question or posting your views, you have to do that every class day. This is really important. You can't just become a critical thinker by listening to me talk. That's not how it works. You become a critical thinker by doing it. Okay. So, for example, if I give a lecture on all or nothing fallacy, where everything's good or everything's horrible, something's perfect or completely degenerate, and you're like, oh, hey, I was watching CNN today, and I realize that when they talk about Donald Trump, it's always bad, or something like that. And you post your views, or relate it to real life or something like that, and you have to participate a certain amount. I don't remember exactly what the threshold is, but it doesn't matter. Basically, if you post something substantial between the start of one class and the start of the next class, then you will get participation points for it. And you will get a participation point for every day that you participate. And that's a chunk of your grade. Okay, so you gotta participate. That's mandatory. So you gotta go on to Discord. If you're not in Discord, if you're watching this live at home and you don't know, on Canvas, let me pull this up, and I bet it's gonna make me authenticate. No, did not have to. So the module section on Canvas is sort of like the headquarters for this class. This is where everything's going to go. All of your homework assignments, all of the recorded lectures will be posted here. Any required readings, or if I say, hey, watch this YouTube video and find 3 fallacies in it or something, all of it's going to be here on the module section on Discord. We also do discussion forums sometimes, where you will post your view on a topic, and then other students have to respond to you, and you get points for both posting and for responding. All of that will be listed here on modules, and they will be sorted by week. So just kind of come in here. There's currently nothing on week 1 yet because you don't have any homework yet. Okay, but where you should start is with the first steps. Make sure you purchase the textbook, join the Discord server, and then join the Scratch class. And in the announcements section, I have some directions on all that as well if you need more guidance. So that's the key. So daily participation, and by daily, I don't mean like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I mean between Monday and Wednesday, between Wednesday and Friday, between Friday and Monday. So each class day. Okay. So each day of class, you have to participate at least once. And that's not a very onerous requirement. If you're just on Discord right now, talking, it's probably going to count you as participating for the class. Okay. Any questions about that? And by the way, feel free to talk while I'm talking. One of the nice things about this lecture format is that you can say anything you want on, not anything. One of the rules, one of the cardinal rules in this class is to always be sort of warm and respectful towards each other and me, I guess, even though I have a pretty thick skin, I guess. Always use positive criticism, and we'll go into that more later, but like on Discord, just always be sort of warm. Even if you disagree with somebody, disagree nicely. Okay. So you can say anything you want on Discord, and every so often you'll see me, if you're watching this recording, you'll see me glance over my second monitor here, and I just keep an eye on the Discord chat. So if people are like not understanding something, just say it. Like, hey, I don't understand what is it, how do I do class participation, that kind of stuff. Just say it on Discord, and I'll answer the questions. So, so don't, this isn't like a normal class where like you can't talk while the teacher's talking. Like, please talk. It actually bugs me when there's like dead silence on Discord, because that means like, I don't know, people are like at the Taco Bell drive-thru or something, or just backgrounding the video and just meh. There will be daily quizzes in this class that'll go up on the thing, and basically all you need to do to pass them is, if you've watched the video, then you click on the quiz and you'll get 100%. Okay, they'll be pretty straightforward quizzes. They're not designed to be difficult. They're designed to make sure that you were awake during class and not at the Taco Bell drive-thru, which actually happened. It was actually a student who was now I'd say a friend of mine. It is a friend of mine. right when we went online during the pandemic, I'm like lecturing, I call on him, he's like, hang on. Yeah, two bean supreme. You gotta be kidding me, dude. You gotta be kidding me. Okay. Alright, so let's go through. Is this the place to put down the reflections for daily participation? Yes, it is. Either here or in the Help Center. So, I don't monitor the, hey, is this the place to do daily reflections? The Help Center is during after hours, so to speak, so I'm not watching the Help Center right now. I have open on my computer the lecture room, and so that's what I monitor when I'm lecturing. Yeah, good question. All right, so let's go through the syllabus or whatever. This will be what the quiz will be on for today. That's quite orange, isn't it? Look at that. Okay. So, all right. So we're going to kind of rotate through 3 different topics in this class. I'll talk about one topic, like critical thinking, for a while, and then I'll switch over to computer programming for a while, then I'll switch over to social issues and computer science for a while, and then back to critical thinking, then back to social issues, then back to programming. And we sort of bounce back and forth between those all semester long. It's one of the reasons why it's kind of fun. Talk about old chicken wings. So, the good news is critical thinking is actually really fun. I guess you can present it in such a way that it's very boring, but it really is fun, and it really does prepare you for life. Go ahead and post on Discord now what your major is, and if you're watching the recording, go post it on the Help Center. Just introduce yourself, give your name, and say what major you are, because computer science gang. Yeah, this is a GE business. Yeah, business major. Yeah. This is a GE class, and so if you're a computer science major, that's cool. It's a computer science class. If you're not a computer science major, then cool. This might be a fun introduction to programming for you, and you can decide if you like it or not. Yeah. Agriculture, communications, computer science, EE. Gonna switch to computer science. Pre-health, business, criminology, liberal studies. Poli-sci. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can see that we have people from, and no offense about the politics thing if you're planning on becoming a politician. Although, to be fair, like politicians actually use a lot of fallacies for political purposes, sometimes. I want you to use your critical thinking powers for good, not for evil. EE thinking of switching to computer science. Mm-hmm. There's nothing. What's the best way of putting it? I used to work for the electrical engineering department, and it really depends where your interests lie. Computer science is a little bit easier to be an independent contractor. I ran my own computer science company for 12 years or so. Still do technically, although now that I'm working as a professor, it's more of a part-time gig, whereas it was paying the bills, his house, for years. And basically, yeah, like I made my living as a computer science major. It pays pretty well. It's one of the nice things about computer science is that when you're good at it, people will beat a path to your door trying to hire you, and oftentimes try and make an app idea they have for free, and they'll give you 1% of the company. But yeah, no, computer science is a good major. But yeah, EE's also good. Like I said, I used to work for the EE department when I was at UC San Diego, and enjoyed my time, my tenure there, so to speak. Any animal science? I did work for the bioengineering department also at UC San Diego. It's not quite animal science, although we did have severed rabbit hearts on a spike in her lab, which was a bit Frankenstein looking the first time I saw it. I have a spike with an impaled rabbit heart on it. It's beating. I was like, it's like vitreous fluid dripping over it, keeping it alive. And I'm like, why? Why are you doing it? There's wires coming out of it. What if you can't make it to the CSCI lectures? If you can't make a lecture, then watch the recording. It's not a big deal. This is technically a virtual asynchronous class. And so I think it's a lot more enjoyable, a lot more engaging if you can make the lectures. If you can't, not a big deal either. Do your daily participation in the Help Center after hours. That's fine. So and by the way, it was to study. I worked for the cardiac mechanics research lab, so it was to study how the heart works. You have class exact same time as the lecture. Yeah, then it's fine. Then watch the recordings. It's okay. It is okay. You're not gonna offend me. I just think that it's better and more engaging when you can have a back and forth with the professor and things like that. But it's certainly not required. If you've never programmed before, this might spark a lifelong interest in programming. Computer science. Computer science is everywhere now. Like even if you're like in agriculture, one of my fellow professors and friends of mine now, one of the first things that he did was writing a fruit sorting thing. It's like apples would come down the conveyor belt, and you would push the rotten ones into one bucket and sort the ripe ones and the unripe ones and things like that. And he built that system for I don't remember who it was. I'm tempted to say it was like the family farms. If you're like going down off the highway, I'm tempted to say it's one of those farms down there. I don't remember the exact one, but yeah, like everything's computer science these days, or not everything's computer science, but computer science is in every field these days. And so even if you're like a business major, guess what? Computers are everywhere in business, and having a little bit of programming knowledge would be really useful if you need to do like some analysis or forecasting and things like that. And maybe you don't go 4 years of computer science, but just having a semester or 2 semesters or 3 semesters of computer science, which is about how long it takes to learn to program, that will give you an edge over your fellow business majors, because as we'll see later in the semester, like data analysis, data forecasting, all of this stuff is huge right now, and you need a little bit of programming to be able to do it. So I've been working with Berkeley's data science program, and we're looking at rolling it out here in the Valley, a clone of it basically. And it's a mixture of stats and computer science basically. If you know how to program already, and I give you a programming assignment that's too easy, you can contact me, and I'll give you a harder one. And I'm not actually saying this facetiously. I will. And well, why would I want a harder assignment? Well, you want something that's interesting to you. You know what I mean? And a lot of these assignments are kind of open-ended, and so you can kind of stretch your legs and show off if you know how to program already. But this class is for people that don't know how to program. So the assignments are tailored for that. So if you want something harder, just contact me when I give an assignment. You're like, could I do something different or something harder? Then I will give you an alternative assignment that's harder. And I mean that quite seriously, because I don't want you bored either. If you've been programming since you were a tadpole. Your Scratch username, do you have to have your last name as part of your username? Technically, Scratch yells at you like quite vociferously that you should not have any personal identifying information in your username. And the reason for that is because they work with K-12 students, and there's like a privacy issue. You can put whatever you want. It's easier for me if I can, if you don't submit your homework properly, then I can kind of find you in Scratch if it has your last name in it. But technically, I have to agree to Scratch's policy of not, telling you not to put your last name in your username. But you do you. You do you. You're a college student. Don't listen to your professor. Okay, so you have literally zero knowledge about programming. Good. Yeah. This is computer science one. Yeah. Okay. And then we're going to talk about social issues in computer science. And so we'll talk about predictive policing, where like, police departments use algorithms, programs to determine potential troublemakers in the neighborhood, even if they've never committed a crime. And then police come by and knock on their door and harass them, be like, hey, where's your son right now? And true story, by the way. Maybe the impact of self-driving cars, like how many people work in trucking, things like that. So computer science has a massive impact on the world these days. Like I think everybody can agree that computer science is transforming the world, and it's transforming the world by and large without us thinking about it. Right? Like people just have an idea for an app, and maybe the app will get you out of a parking ticket. So now what? Now what? Parking tickets are now pointless, right? Like parking tickets sometimes serve a purpose. Like if somebody parks in a handicapped spot, they're blocking a handicapped person from being able to park there and get out of their car. And if there was an app that could just get you out of a parking ticket, like how many people would start parking in handicapped spots, and block it. And so it's one of those things where like people will just have an idea, like, look, I've got this app, and I could do this, and then they just completely don't think about, well, what if everybody used this app and it worked all the time? Like, what would that do? What would that do to society? What change would that make? Would it be good? Would it be bad? Like, by and large in computer science, we don't think about that. This is the main class in which we will talk about the impact that computer science has in the world. Other classes might do it a little bit, but this class is the class for that. If your attendance is detected through your last name, what if you share the last name with other people? Yeah, then putting your student ID is, you can do that too, absolutely. What I do is I go through and I associate your Discord username with your Canvas account. I basically go through and manually link them. And if I don't know who you are, then I will message you and be like, hey, which Xiang are you? And if you change your username on Discord again, then I have to kind of do that again. So don't change your Discord username on the server, or if you have to, it's fine. Like I had a student, get married and change their name. It's fine, but yeah, in general, just try to keep your usernames static. And then every class, I run a report. There's a bot that watches the chat on the Discord, and then generates a report. This person participated 3 days this week. This person participated 1 day. This person participated 0 days. And then I go and I punch them into Canvas. Okay. Good question. You'll only be able to make Fridays. That's fine. Like I said, you can, in between Monday and Wednesday and Friday, it's a 48-hour window to participate. But participate you must. Participation is not optional. You just don't have to participate live. Does that make sense? So you just have to go into the help center and be like, hey, I just watched the recording, and my father is a trucker, and if he gets put out of work because of a self-driving truck, like, you know what I mean? And so you participate, you must. Yes. So that is how you participate in the help center chat channel here on Discord for CSCI 1. Don't participate on one of the other classes chat channels if you see them, which you shouldn't. One other thing I should mention is you need to tag yourself with CSCI 1. Let me just click on people like Vanessa. You didn't tag yourself for CSCI 1. Alberto, you didn't. Fernando did. Prainez, you did not. Yeah, so you have to tag yourself for the role, and the way you do that, let me pull it up over here. Here is Discord. When you connected, it should have shown you this, right? This right here is how you assign what class you're in. Okay, so you need to come here and click on the 1, and that will put you in the CSCI 1 class. If you don't have that, the bot will not count your attendance. It's, this is in the announcement. It's in, yeah. So change your nickname so that it has at least your last name in it, and then come over here and click on the 1. There you go. You can see some people are clicking on it. And you can always mouse over your name. Like you can see Walker here. You can see what roles people have. And so if you click on yourself, you can see if you have the CSCI 1 role or not. So if I click on Nico here, we got a CSCI 1. And so he does not, does not. All right. So looks like about half of you don't have the CSCI 1 role, and so basically it won't count you for attendance unless you have that tagged. So make sure you do that. It's real important. And basically what I do is I give you a 0, and then you contact me like, what? I get a 0 on attendance. I'm like, oh, you didn't have your role set. It's either that or click on each individual's. Yeah, it's a self-resolving problem. Let's put it that way. So you have to have that role for the attendance to count. And I give you the points. Like I'm not a mean dude. If you're like, hey, I got a 0, and I check manually because I can search for your participation on Discord, and I just grade it manually. But it's kind of a pain. So that's why we're computer science majors. We're computer science majors because we're lazy. we're lazy people that work very hard. Let's put it that way. Like I don't want to go through and manually count, all these things for every student every day. Nah, forget about it. Ain't nobody got time for that. So we write bots. We write programs that do this for us. Okay. So your grading in this class, here's the breakdown. 10% is going to come from critical thinking assignments. And there's going to be a lot of these, by the way. This is probably about half the class is critical thinking of the 3 topics. 10% are going to come from computational thinking. Computational thinking is sort of the groundwork, the fundamentals of computer science. It's like a level, like I said, below CSCI 40. CSCI 40 is your standard first semester class. This is laying the foundation for it. Might also whet your appetite if you're not a computer science major and you've never programmed before. You might be like, oh, this is kind of fun. Like I just got contacted by a student who graduated, or not graduated, transferred to SLO 2 years ago. And she's like, hey, I'm thinking about, I really enjoyed computer science. I'm thinking about becoming a computer science major now. What do you think? And, and so we talked about it. It's like I have X amount to go in mechanical engineering, and I have this much more if it's computer science. So should I graduate with a bachelor's in mechanical and then do a master's in computer science? And like we were kind of playing with the different possibilities and things like that. And so computational thinking might spark that interest in becoming a computer science major. Okay. Social issues in computer science, 10%. This is a GE class, and as such, at Fresno State, there is a GE portfolio that is required, portfolio essay that is required. This will be like week 16, like towards the end of the semester. We'll worry about that. It's about a 4-page paper that you have to write. That's like your big essay for the class. It's a 3-unit class. There's not a lot of work, but make sure you do that. And basically, the portfolio essay is going to be on any social issue in computer science you want to talk about. Basically, any topic we talk about in class. So as the class goes on, if I talk about something that sparks your interest, like the impact of social media on politics, or you know, how news organizations can frame narratives in different ways. If there's something like you're like, oh man, yeah, that's really interesting, then write your essay on that. You know, there's nothing worse than having to write an essay on something you find boring. You know, so if you're gonna write 4 pages on something, it should be something that sparks a fire in you. You know? So. Textbook readings. There is a textbook for this class called Zybooks. It is an interactive textbook, and it integrates with Canvas. So, pull it up right here. 601, and so I will assign periodically readings from the homework. So, for example, impact of computer science, and the way that it works is when you get a homework, I might say 9.1 to 9.3, and so you basically click on it, and then you can read through the background on social networking, and Facebook was the first social networking site. False. Facebook are typically published for the world to see. I'm going to say false. Okay, good. Yeah. Facebook revenues are from advertising users. True. But if let's say you get it wrong. Oh no, and it tells you why you're wrong, and then you can switch it. So there's kind of no excuse to not get 100% on it, and that's kind of like true for this whole class. It's pretty easy to get an A in this class, or at least a B, I would say. If you show up, if you participate, if you do the work on time. You're going to get an A or a B. You know, you'd have to do pretty badly on like the tests to like drop below a B. I would say maybe a C. I don't know. But really, you show up, you do your participation. That's letter grade. You do the textbook readings. You know, you do the daily homework. Like you just pick up points just doing what's required of you. It's pretty straightforward. The most people that fail this class are the people that just stop doing the work, and it's like, well, I can't help you. You know? And then last week of school, hey, I noticed I've got a 43% of the class. Is there anything I can do to, like, sorry. It's probably too late by now. So, yeah. So, you guys understand? Those of you here live on chat, like, to do the textbook readings, you just, read the thing, answer the questions. You get points. You do the daily homework, the daily quizzes, you get points. Class participation, you get points. All this is like, do you have a pulse? Are you doing the work? Are you on time? Like, there's no late work accepted unless you, I don't know. I had a student last year have his garage burned down. I'm like, yeah. I mean, if you have a reason, you can do something late. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Contact me beforehand, not afterwards. If you have an issue, just be like, hey, I've got a NCAA fencing event coming up. I'm very reasonable as long as you tell me beforehand. If you miss a deadline, there's no late work in this class. So just show up, do your work on the regular, hit your deadlines, and you're probably going to get an A in this class or maybe a B. Okay. Are there due dates on the Zybooks? Yeah, not yet. I haven't given any yet, but yeah, there will be deadlines, and every time there's a deadline, there's going to be 2 or 3 students who are like, hey, I didn't pay attention. Can I? Nope. Sorry. The deadlines are the deadlines, and this class really rewards you for having good study habits, I guess. Especially don't miss the midterms and finals. So the midterms and finals are worth a lot of points, and last year I had a student miss the midterm. And you have to understand, when this is an online class, right? So the midterms and finals are a window of time. You have several days to start the midterms and finals in, and he just didn't do it the whole week, or however period of time it was. And I'm like, I'm sorry, that's a letter grade you lost, And then later on, he asked me to write him a letter of recommendation, which was kind of brave, honestly. That was kind of that was kind of a, I was like, I probably shouldn't, you know. That's why I wrote back to him. I'm like, it's probably not a good idea for me to express my thoughts on the matter, you know. Are there going to be assignments on Canvas or Zybooks? It will be on Canvas, and so what will happen is they're integrated. So you will see a textbook reading here, and you'll click on it, and it'll take you to the Zybooks website. And when you answer the questions there, it automatically gets reported back to Canvas. And so every time you finish one of those pages on Zybooks and hit submit at the bottom, the scores go to Canvas, and you get your points automatically. And some people panic, by the way, because like, let's say I give you 3, you know, like social media, text messaging, whatever those things were, and you submit social media, and you check on Canvas, you're like, I have a 33%. You know, and that's because you've done 1 out of the 3 sections, right? So just keep going. Like it's not a final grade until the deadline's done. You know what I mean? So just keep answering questions. You'll see your points go like that as you do the reading. Okay. So you don't pay for Zybooks. So I got some bad news for you. Yeah, Zybooks cost money. It's not. It's not free. It's not free. It's integrated with Canvas, but it is a money costing thing. It's not that expensive, you know, compared with like, you know, the $200 or $300 textbooks you buy. For other classes, it's reasonably priced. I don't remember what the price is actually on it, because it kind of depends. $58. So there you go. So. And it integrates with Canvas. So basically, the nice thing about it is that as you answer those questions, your points get posted automatically to Canvas. You don't have to send anything to me. Like I said, computer science majors, we're lazy. Like I don't want to grade, you know, this by hand. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, you know, Fernando got that one false, and no. Automation, you know. Make life simple. Keep life simple. Okay. So, how long do you have before your first assignment on Zybooks? I typically wait a little while because I'm quite sympathetic to the fact that it costs money and it sometimes takes students some time to get money put together, and you have to wait for financial aid and things like that. Sure. Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm a pretty reasonable guy, and yeah, and if there's an issue, just message me before the deadline. After the deadline, you'll probably get a message from me saying the deadline's the deadline. Like, you know, unless you were in a coma or something like that. Like, the deadline's the deadline. There's no late work. You know, just you know, one of the secret goals for this class is just, you know, trying to teach you to be reliable. You know, one of the reasons why I was quite popular as a independent contractor was because I would get my work done by the deadlines that I said I would do. So, I don't know if any of you guys have ever worked with like contractors in real life. Like, you know, somebody has to come in and redo your plumbing or something like that. Like, contractors are sort of infamous for like either being sloppy or missing deadlines and things like that. And if you're somebody who can actually show up when you say you're going to show up and do the work by the deadline you said you're going to do it by, people will be like, that's a cool, yeah, Kearney, cool dude. He does his work, good quality work, on time, and they'll recommend you to the friends, and then you'll be well employed your whole life. Yeah, so, in fact, some of the contracts I worked on paid me more money than the contract called for because they were happy with me. They're like, hey, we got some extra money. You want it? I'm like, sure. Why not? Here's an extra $5,000. Cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, not often. I mean, most of the time, like, people stick to the contract. Like, you know, that's what contracts are for. But, you know, twice I had people just kind of like throw a little extra my way. You know, I kind of went above and beyond for them too. I was kind of like doing some extra work, and they're like, "Hey, we feel bad about you doing the extra work. Here, let's give you some extra money." And that's, you know, that's why. Okay, so the midterms and the final will have a window. It'll like open on one day and close on one day. And once you start the test, though, you'll have like 2 hours to do it. And yeah, so Basically, I'm very flexible, especially during finals week. I think the finals open during the entirety of the finals period during finals week. So whatever day is good for you, you can take the final then. And yeah, don't post any. Don't ask for help on the midterm or final on the help center, but for everything else, for all the other homework, you can ask for help, and we'll give it to you. There's typically people helping out on the help center 24/7. Experienced students like to hang out and help newer students. It's actually quite a positive group of people we have here on Discord, and I'm not paying them. They just like hanging out. And somebody's like, hey, what does this mean? And somebody will help you. So if you go onto the help center at 12 o'clock at night and be like, hey, what does it mean, this, somebody will probably answer you. Okay. So yeah, the class days are 48-hour windows. You have to participate once every class day. Friday to Monday, I guess, is 3 days instead of 2 days. Ooh, yeah, this is a big one. Everything's due at the start of class, not at midnight. Like if you're used to Canvas having midnight deadlines, you're gonna be disappointed. Every assignment will have a deadline of 10 a.m. mostly. Okay. So the reason for that is because I don't like it when students are doing homework while I'm lecturing. So there's usually gonna be a little quiz or a little homework or something each day. See if you paid attention, and you must participate on Discord every class day. Will there be a daily quiz today? There will be on this. Yep. And a lot of times I set the time limit on the quiz to be like 5 or 10 minutes, so that you can't open the quiz and then watch. You know what I mean? Like you watch the lecture first and then take the quiz. All right, so critical thinking. Yeah, let's talk about this. Yeah, we want to believe true things. We want to not believe false things. That's what critical thinking boils down to. It's not about being ultra skeptic person. Like, well, I don't believe that. Is that a printer behind you? I don't believe that. You can't prove it to me that that's a printer back there. Critical thinking is not being about ultra skepticism. It's about proportioning belief to evidence. Okay, so the more evidence you have for something, the stronger your belief should be in it, right? And so, maybe you believe that Kearney has orange skin because you look at the glow of the face right now and it's orange, but yeah, maybe that's because of the PowerPoint presentation, In general, I'm pretty receptive to people having different views and different beliefs about things, all political alignments, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Socialist. They're all welcome here. Everyone's got their views and perspectives. They're not all equivalent. There's a difference between saying all views are welcome and saying all views are the same, because they're not. There's differences in people's views and perceptions, how the world works and things like that. That's quite significant. But they're all welcome here. Okay, and I actually mean that. I will not tell you what my political beliefs and thoughts are and philosophies are in this class. I quite deliberately balance. If I'm critical of something that Biden says, then I'll be critical of something that Trump says. Like if you look at the midterms or finals from previous years, because I'll post the sample ones, you'll see there's exactly 1-to-1 critical attacks. Like, you know what I mean? Like if I attack something Libertarian says, I'll attack something a Socialist says. There is exactly perfectly balanced, as all things should be, as Thanos says, in this class. Okay, so this class is not for me to impose my political views on you. It's your job in this class to use the critical thinking skills to figure out what your views are. Okay, and to present your views in a organized and logical and methodological fashion. Okay, so critical thinking is basically about being able to sort out what the truth from the BS. Okay, because there's a lot of BS in the world. People, marketing, advertising. Somebody have the mic on? Muya. Yeah. There's a lot of BS in the world, and we need to be able to sort it out. Okay. And critical thinking is kind of the opposite of what you see on social media. So on the left hand side here, you see your average social media user, and on the right, you see the critical thinking enjoyer. And there's a pretty big difference between the two. And by the way, I use social media. I'm not being critical of you if you use social media. I'm talking about sort of the generic social media person that has completely unjustified beliefs. You know, one of their relatives posted some conspiracy theory, and that's good enough for them to believe it. If you look at all the QAnon stuff, for example, would be an example of mostly, obviously, Republicans believing into that QAnon stuff. On the left-wing side, there's a bunch of conspiracies about Trump as well. His mental he ended up taking a cognitive test to show that he didn't have dementia, for example, because there was this belief running around that he was in this severe mental decline and things like that. And so people, people just post something on social media and then it goes viral and everyone believes it just because everyone they know believes it, and that's the problem. That's a problem with social media. Oftentimes, no subtlety or nuance in their beliefs. One of the recurring themes in this class is I love subtlety and nuance, right? Like, you will very rarely hear me say, something is all good or all bad or something like that. Stalin, who I consider one of the worst people of all time, is, he's so bad. When his son tried killing himself and failed, he mocked him for it. Like, Stalin was a horrible person, right? Murdered millions of people, right? But he helped stop Hitler. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give him that, right? Like, and people on social media will be unable to ever admit that somebody on the other side has any good points at all, right? And again, I'm not saying everybody on social media. I'm saying the average, troll, kind of person you see on social media. No subtlety. Yeah, Twitter. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just these randos on Twitter that will just attack anybody for anybody that disagrees with them. They share memes and stories without fact checking them. That's a big thing. Like, click. I'm going to reblog this so fast. Yeah, all you read was the title, probably. They participate in mob behavior. They have these mob hunts occasionally on Twitter, on other social media sites, where somebody becomes a target and everybody joins in and talks about how horrible the person is. For example, a friend of mine was a victim of online mob behavior, and it's really interesting to see because I have friends like in Kansas, and they heard about this witch hunt. They're like, "Oh, I heard there was this neo-Nazi in SLO," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's my friend." He's not a neo, like he's a very left-wing guy, and like there was this giant witch hunt for him, and like it was interesting to see just how it spread through social networking. I'm watching people who have no contact with the person, never met him before in their life, joining in with pitchforks and torches, and yeah, somebody shares if Elon Musk tweets something, it must be true. If Bernie Sanders tweets something, it must be true, and they'll just believe it just because somebody they know, and they don't check for themselves, right? And they typically either don't watch the news or they only get their news from one source. If all you get is your news from CNN, you are going to have a very, very unbalanced view of the world. Likewise, Fox, right? I've never seen Fox say anything nice about Biden since he took office. And CNN, I used to play a game where I would turn on CNN radio. I'd be driving to work, and I'd turn on CNN and I would count 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, until they mentioned Trump or some Trump-related topic. So last night I'm like, I'm going to play this game. Trump's been out of office for a while now. Turn on CNN. It's like, and his daughter was saying during the riots. I'm like, okay, yeah, that was literally the second word was about Trump. I was like, CNN's still on that trip, Like if you only watch one news source, you are going to have a biased view of the world, and probably not a very accurate one as well. So and they also get mad and they get angry and attack people, and that's a highly annoying behavior for people to have, because you don't do that with your friends in real life. You know, if your friends disagree with you in real life, you know, hopefully you're not somebody who just flips out and, you know, yells at them and stuff like that. So the critical thinking enjoyer, his beliefs are justified in facts and evidence. Okay, you know, what evidence is there that ping pong pizza has a secret underground lair? You know, none. There isn't any. But a lot of people believe this pizza parlor in D.C. had a secret underground lair as part of that whole Pizzagate scandal thing. You know, what evidence is there that, you know, Trump had dementia? The fact you don't like him, like, come on, you know, that's not a justified belief. You know, critical thinking enjoyer, they base their beliefs on evidence. They turn to think, rather than something being all good or all evil, a critical thinker looks at the pros and looks at the cons. What is good about this thing? What is bad about this thing? And they weigh them. And so if an option has more good than more evil, then they take that action, right? Very rarely you're going to find an action that is all good and no evil, right? Like if you're going to build a dam in the mountains, like you're gonna screw up the nature there. Like it's just going to happen, right? Like there were bushes and things there. There used to be a town, you know, like, you know, where Lake Millerton is. You know, there used to be a town there. That was actually the capital of Fresno, was Millerton, and they flooded it. You know what I mean? Like there's anytime there's a big major decision like that, like you're not gonna be able to escape negative consequences. You know, and so many people want there to just be this sort of idealized, perfect, like they'll only take something if there's no downside. And guess what? You know, there's always, or almost always, a downside to something. You know, autonomous vehicles might be safer, but they're going to put people out of work. What's the balance? You know, how do you weigh that? You know, which one should we pick? I don't know. I don't have an answer. I want to hear your opinions on it, and I mean that quite profoundly. I actually want to hear your opinions on the big issues of the day. Look at references. Look at sources behind news articles. If you there's going to be critical thinking, like ties in a lot with politics, because you know, politics is one of those areas where people will present their view of the world very strongly and not give any oxygen to the other side. You know, they will go hard on their viewpoint. And so if you're a critical thinker, you need to look at, okay, what does this person say? Read one person's article, read somebody who disagrees with them. And you have to actually take in information from people who disagree with each other, and that can be painful to our mental psyche sometimes, right? Man, I've read some dumb stuff over the years. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of hurts, but at the same time, sometimes they make good points. You know, like, oh, I didn't know that was the case. And you're looking at references and looking at sources behind the stories, looking at both sides of a story, thinking about the bias that a story has. What's this person's point of view? You know, if it's Sean Hannity on Fox, like he's going to be coming from a right-wing perspective. You know, it's very unlikely that he will give the left-wing perspective the time of day, or if he does, it would probably be in a distorted and twisted viewpoint. Likewise, you know, pretty much anyone on CNN or MSNBC, they're not going to give, I go to the gym and I sit in between Fox and CNN, and I just sit there and I watch both at the same time because they're subtitled and I can read pretty quickly. So I actually watch both news channels at the same time. And, it's rare for them to actually give the, you know, unvarnished, you know, facts of the matter. Like their bias usually ties in with everything they talk about. Okay? And so having a wide news intake, and that's not just Fox and CNN, but try to get information from as many sources as possible. Try to cultivate friends from as many backgrounds as possible. And I don't just mean like, you know, skin color, race, and ethnicity, which is oftentimes what people mean when we talk about, you know, diverse sources and things like that, which is important also. But also different political beliefs. Political diversity is actually, if you really want, to hear people with different beliefs, political diversity is pretty important, and a lot of people just can't associate with people who believe something different from them, and that's bad. That's, it's bad for yourself because you need to hear opposing viewpoints. Okay, and you got to be as cool as cucumber. You can't get upset. If somebody like I have a friend in Tokyo that I talk with fairly regularly. His political viewpoints are quite different from mine, and it's interesting because he's a very well informed person, and he'll say things about life in Japan or stuff that I didn't know, and it's very interesting to talk to him, and I like to think that he thinks it's interesting talking to me too because we have different viewpoints, and we get along really well. So, college is said to be the place where you learn how to think, not what to think, and that's something I believe very, very deeply. Okay, so this class is going to teach you how to think, not what to think. Okay, it's going to teach you methods, training your brain power to weigh the evidence for something. Look at the evidence. Look behind the evidence. Okay, and people of all viewpoints will benefit from this. Like I said, Republican, Democrat, Socialist, Libertarian, you're all welcome. It's all fine. Okay. And like you've seen, like I balance everything. Like Thanos holding that knife. Everything is balanced in this class. Every time. Because my political views don't matter. What matters is learning how to think. And, I understand that not all professors are that way. Some professors just want you to echo back to them, like, what they believe to get an A. No. That sets me off. That's one thing that bugs me. Because I am not here to indoctrinate you. I'm like the opposite of that. My goal is to sort of make you immune to indoctrination, if that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, my goal is to have you baffled by what I actually believe, because I will argue very passionately for one viewpoint and then turn around and argue very passionately for the other. Okay. And so don't think that just because I'm arguing for a perspective, that's my perspective. Because I try to present all perspectives with as strong a case as I can make for them to be fair. Okay. And then finally, because we're out of time, remember in this class, anytime you interact with each other, positive criticism. Positive criticism. Sometimes people try to be like sarcastic or funny. Like the first discussion forum I had a year ago, a person responded to somebody saying, "Whoa, hang on there, champ. Everything you said is wrong." I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. There's a method of positive criticism that I want you guys to employ, especially when you're doing like the online discussions and things like that, which is called the Hamburger method of criticism. You give a positive comment like, "Hey, I really liked your take on autonomous vehicles. My father also is a truck driver and it worries me as well." You start with something positive. Then if you're going to do something negative, that's in the middle, the hamburger part. But I have to disagree with you. If it's going to save lives, that's more important than unemployment. Then the bottom bun is also positive criticism. But I just want to say I thought your essay was really well reasoned. And if you do criticism like that, people take it a lot better. Rather than just saying, "You're wrong, bro." Like that sets people off, especially in an online environment where you're not seeing each other. You guys all hear that? Positive criticism, negative criticism, positive criticism. It's an incredibly useful skill for real life as well. Because you don't want, you want to be able to disagree with people without pissing them off. You guys all hear this? Please post on chat. Yes, I understand the hamburger model. Say something positive about what they said, then you can say something negative, then say something positive to finish. Psychologically speaking, that works so well, and it makes you a much more pleasant person than this guy. Okay. All right, so that's it for class today, and we're gonna have fun this semester. So feel free to cut loose, be amusing, post memes, post your favorite music on the music channel. This is a fun class, okay? And as I said, feel free to chat during lecture and have fun. Okay, so this recording will go up in a little bit, and there will be a quiz up in a little bit. Take the quiz, get the points, and welcome to the class. All right, thanks everyone. Peace out.